Hello, it's David again with a volunteer from Kansas 4-H Entomology. This session we're going to talk briefly about pinpoints, getting insects on the pinpoints, and then briefly talk a little bit about vials on those. In this point here, I come back again. What I've got is I've got my two pinpoints. I've got the handmade one. I've got the one now with the punch in it. I actually put a little glue on the bottom of them to hold them in place so the height stays there. Now on the homemade one, I went ahead and I put the little tip down a little bit. There's two different camps out there for putting insects on pinpoints. One is where you put the insect on the side, so you would glue the side of the insect to this little tab that goes down. The other one is you just put the insect on top of the pinpoint. We've always done on top of the pinpoint here. So again, this is where a magnifying glass with a head would be very great so you can see what's going on. What you want to do here on the pinpoint is get a little dab of glue on the end of the pin. This might be where, if you want to, put a little glue on the edge of the styrofoam first. There we go, got a big dab there. And then, or in case here it's still on the top here, you can use it to also get some glue on that. You just want enough glue to kind of hold the insect there. Don't need it underneath. So I'll take a little bit off there. Now there's two different ways of trying to get the insect on that pinpoint. One is, again, pulling your tweezers and trying to grab the insect. Also helps you don't have glue on the tweezers. And try positioning your insect so it's on that. As you can see, that gets kind of fun trying to do it by the pinpoint or by the tweezers. The other mechanism, which is what we typically always use, is, let me get the insect now off, is I'll have the insect on the styrofoam surface upside down, and then what you're trying to do is you want the pinpoint always to have the head of the insect towards the top of the box. And again, your pinpoint can either point to the left or point to the right. It's going to just depend upon what you want to do, but again, all pinpoints in your box have to be the same way. We've always done ours point to the left. And then this becomes a geometry fun, is trying to say, okay, now if I'm going to put the insect such that the top is this way and the head's this way, I need to kind of almost reverse what's going on here. And then I can push the pin down in, pick up the insect, and then depending upon what the insect does on you, sometimes you have to come back in with your tweezers to kind of reposition it. And sometimes you have to angle the pin so, because the insects may be heavier towards the front or the back, such that you let gravity kind of help you on positioning your insect. And then once you think you've got it good enough, I might even put that one a little bit more down. There we go. I'll kind of hold it at an angle here. Trying to get, again, the insect as much as possible. That one I don't have quite on the end point like I'd like to have, but it'd be ideally to have a little more at the end point, and holding in the middle of the insect. Again, you'd like the insect to be as horizontal as much as possible, and as front and back as you can on that. And so that's pinpointing. Again, you just let those dry, use Elmer's glue. The other thing I want to talk about is there's some insects you can't use a pinpoint on. They're soft-bodied insects, termites, cat fleas. They will, when they dry out, the bodies will disintegrate. And so what you'll get on those is you'll get little vials. There are a variety of different sizes vials you can purchase. And then you put like 98% rubbing alcohol in the fluid, and you'll just drop your insect into there. Because our kids have always been in insect a long time, we've always gone with the smaller vials, because most of the insects in the vials are small, as well as you want to save space for all your specimens. And so you'll just put your put your liquid in there, put your insect in there, 1 or 2 samples of it, fill it all the way to the top so you don't have an air bubble, and then throw the cap back on. I've seen some people sometimes try gluing the caps on, but stuff evaporates. And so if you have it glued on, then it's going to be awful hard to get the lid back off to add more fluid in. We never glued ours on, and just once a year we pull the cap off and put the dropper, put fluids back in to fill it up. The last thing I want to show on vials is when you get ready to put them into your box. Here, what we want to do is we want to really cradle them very well so they don't roll. What we've seen at the state is we've seen a few people that just come in here and say, well, I can put a pin right here at the beginning and maybe try angling a little bit at the end to kind of hold it in place. But as you can see, that doesn't hold very good. If you lift up the thing, it starts jostling, it's going to fall out and destroy other insects going below. So what we like to do is go ahead and do a cradle. I usually put a cradle on the very front. Then, and these are all with your insect pins. Don't use your sewing pins or your quilting pins for this. So again, your sewing pins, you'll crisscross to hold it in place. And then I always like to put one front and back. That way, if for some reason the box gets jostled either way or other, you can see that's very stable in there. We've seen a few times where they put the pin straight up, and 4-H or the 4-H leaders, the things sometimes will bring your boxes for you, and they're always not as careful with the boxes as you would be. So it's always best to play it safe and then pin them in the box that way. So thank you. This is our 3rd video. The 4th one, my daughter will take over, Cassia, as she can do pinning the moths and butterflies better than I can. Thank you.